everyone, welcome to Reignite Health. I am Box the Bio, here to educate you about health and wellness. Today I want to speak about multiple sclerosis and managing blood pressure or salt intake in terms of, keeping multiple sclerosis at bay, inflammation down, and all of that. So firstly, multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune disease that affects the brain and the spinal cord. So it has an array of symptoms that can take place that cause slight disability here and there, vision loss, memory problems, and all of that. And somehow, somewhere in my past, I got diagnosed with the condition, and so for the past 10 years and a few months I have been living with multiple sclerosis and educating people about it and helping them enjoy their lives as much as possible. So I want to give you a bit of a background about my story, explain what high blood pressure is or blood pressure is, and let you know of the best ways to manage it to control chronic conditions such as multiple sclerosis. Right, let's get into the video. So last year I decided that I'm going to take it up a notch in taking control of my health, and decided to do DNA tests just to have an idea about what the family is likely to give me in the future. It is good to know these things so that you know how to manage them, or how to prevent them rather from happening, and you can live a good quality life. So one of the results that I got is that inflammation genes are very high, which is obviously not ideal. And then the second thing that I got is that I have a salt sensitivity, which means that high blood pressure is a possibility if not managed in terms of salt intake. So two very important things to notice. The one is inflammation. MS is an inflammatory disease. High blood pressure is an inflammatory disease as well. So we need to work on decreasing inflammation to manage the two. And then the second thing is that high blood pressure happens if you have too much of bad salts in your diet, or not bad salts, or too much your salt intake in your diet overall. So we want to keep those two down. So I have those two working against me, so I need to manage inflammation, manage salt intake, and hopefully all will be well. So just to explain what blood pressure is, this is very important in our body. It has to do with our heart and the vessels in our body. This is known as your cardio, the heart, and your vascular system. Cardio, heart, vascular, blood vessels. So you have your heart that is connected to your lungs via blood vessels, as well as to the rest of your body. Now, the whole blood vessel system, the whole heart system, the whole lung system, they work on pressures. And the higher the pressure, the more strain is put on those vessels, on the heart, on the lungs, to get blood to flow through it. The lower the pressure, the more easily blood can flow through those areas. So blood pressure is pretty much pressure that blood has to work against, if you think of it in that sense. I like to use a hose as an example. If you have a nice hose with a nice thick hole, and the water will come out nicely because the pressure is low. But as soon as you constrict that hole, then the water shoots out. It takes longer to shoot out, but it shoots out more vigorously. Vigorously is the word that I want to use. Like I said, symptom of MS, memory and finding words, but harsh. It comes out more vigorously. Let's go with vigorously. And that causes that is pretty much what happens in your blood vessels when the pressure is too high. So The pressure of the blood has to overcome the pressure of the vessel. The pressure of the blood has to overcome the pressure of the heart. The pressure of the blood has to overcome the pressure in the lungs. So the lower the pressure, the better. With that being said, there are set pressures that are acceptable, not to cause faintedness, dizziness, or anything like that. And essentially, the top value for blood pressure, you want it at least over 90, but the ideal is under 120, so between 110 and 120. And then the bottom value is you want it around at least over 60, but generally between 70 and 80. So if it's lower than 90, lower than 60, you can get the faintedness, the dizziness, all of that. And if it is much higher, I'll give you all those ranges now, much higher, that's being 180, 160, over 100, then it can lead to heart attacks, strokes, comas, all of that. So there is an acceptable range with regards to blood pressure, but the ideal is under 120 and under 80. Now, I've told you two values. The one value is the 120 value. That is your systolic blood pressure. So you have to think of it this way. You have your heart and it's now been oxygenated, which means that you've inhaled oxygen into your lungs. That oxygen-rich blood has gone to your heart, and now it needs to be transported to the rest of the body via your blood vessels. The pressure that your heart has to go work against to flow out of the heart, to allow that blood to flow out of the heart, that is your systolic blood pressure. That's the 120 value. And then the next value, the 80 value, the one under 80 that we want, that is the pressure that your heart has to be at to be able to fill with blood. So the more blood it can fill with, the more blood it can pump out. If the pressures are too high, the heart has to work harder to pump the blood out of the heart, and then it can delay how much blood is filling into the heart. So less oxygenated blood to the body. If the pressure is too low, it's just not ideal, causes faintedness, especially when you're walking and doing activities. But our main issue generally is high blood pressure, and that has to do a lot with salt sensitivity. Salt, which is the chemical NaCl, sodium chloride. Sodium is one of the values that is used within the heart and within the body in general, just for functioning of your nerves, functioning of your vessels, just functioning of everything in general. But high levels of that can cause your vessels to constrict, causing the pressure to go up. It can also cause too much of the mineral in your kidneys that causes issues in terms of processing that out of your kidneys, which can cause a high blood pressure as well. So we want to limit salt intake in general, and it's generally up to 5 grams a day. So that's about a teaspoon of salt a day is what we should be getting. The important thing to note is that most of our foods, natural foods, and non-natural foods, naturally have sodium in it, and that's the Na on all the food labels that you see. That is your salt intake of that product. So you want to make sure that that is not too high either. So you have to look at that as well as the added salt that you have to your foods and all of that. So why is it so important with regards to chronic conditions or other chronic conditions? Besides the fact of having high blood pressure, having other chronic conditions can lead to inflammation in the body, which can have some effect on your blood pressure. But if you are not living healthy and not trying your best, then you can cause that blood pressure value to increase in general, which will then go back and forth and cause a cascade in terms of your overall health. Increase inflammation, increase relapses, increase flare-ups, all of that. So you want to sort of work on the umbrella of the whole thing, which is your inflammation. Calm that down. I want to work on that and keep it low as possible. So Inflammation, best ways to work on inflammations and best ways that I have been using is firstly limiting salt intake. I try not to add extra salt to food if I don't have to. Yes, I do like steamed vegetables without salt, and I only add salt when I cook food. I don't add salt after I cook. Those are two ways that I manage salt, and I also check the salt content of some vegetables. For example, spinach has a lot of sodium in it. So whenever I eat spinach, I generally don't add extra salt because you can actually taste the salt in it. The other thing is limiting processed foods, because processed foods are generally made with a lot of salt and generally unhealthy salt. The other way that I manage salt is by checking or by using more proper salt, and that would be your Himalayan pink salt, your Celtic salt. Those are generally the best options when it comes to salt. So you want to try and do as much as possible with regards to that. The other thing that I do is I drink a lot of water. At least 2 liters a day of water is what I'm getting in my body to help and flush out extra salt. And then exercising. Though exercise is super important, especially cardio activities. Yes, walking is my favorite exercise that I believe everyone should be doing, and working on your breathing while you walk can make sure that you're managing your blood pressure as well, getting a lot of oxygen into the body as well. So those are the main ways that I have been managing salt sensitivity, as they like to call it on the DNA test, but managing or preventing my ability to get high blood pressure. For those that are also on chronic medication, one thing I've noticed is that if you don't read the side effects of the medication, you don't really know what other types of chronic conditions you could get. For example, I used to be on a specific medication that caused high blood pressure, and I then ended up on high blood pressure pills. Eventually, I stopped that medication, and my blood pressure is now perfectly fine. So you have to also look at everything that you're putting into your body and ways that you're using to flush out the excess sodium and the processed foods and all of that from your system. So yes, guys, that is everything in terms of managing blood pressure, what blood pressure is. Looking at the top value, which is systolic, that's the 120, and the bottom value, which is diastolic, that's the 80 value. For the systolic value, for you to be classified with stage 2 high blood pressure, that means you need medication as well as a lifestyle change. Your blood pressure, systolic blood pressure, would be over 160 consistently. So throughout the whole day, every day without fail. For you to have an elevated blood pressure, systolic value, and not need medication for it, that is a blood pressure value over 130. So preferably try and keep your blood pressure, that's systolic value, under 130, and you should be fine. The next value of importance is your diastolic one. That's the one where your heart is filling with the blood to pump out of the heart to the rest of the body. That value is the 80 value. Preferably between 70, 85 is where you want to keep it consistently every day throughout the whole day. If it gets over 90, then you need to start managing your lifestyle. Firstly, diet, exercise, salt intake, all of that. And then if it's over 100, then you likely need medication. So we don't want to get to the point where it's over 160 and over 100. We want to keep it in a place where we can manage it naturally. So do make sure that you do that. Do make sure you're getting your walks in every day, limiting salt intake, changing the salt you use to Himalayan salt or Celtic salt, and limiting foods that are high in sodium, which is Na on the labels, as well as limiting processed and unhealthy foods, and then increasing anti-inflammatory foods. So a lot of whole natural foods, your fruits, your vegetables, your healthy fats, your proteins, increasing that into your diet to make sure that you are helping your body fight inflammation. Just in general, we want to prevent chronic conditions as much as possible. And the last important thing is know your family history. Know who in your family has some sort of genetic power over you, and just make sure that you're like, okay, cool, you have high blood pressure, which means I could have high blood pressure one day, so I'm going to manage it now. I'm going to pretend like I have it and manage it now. And that is the same for all chronic conditions: diabetes, cholesterol, heart attacks, everything. Know your family history and act like you have it so that you start preventing it now instead of waiting to get it and having to manage it. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. Please do like, subscribe, and most importantly, share this video with the world. Let's get more people to hop on board onto this health journey and educating and helping more people take control of their health. I am so grateful to be able to share my knowledge with you guys, and I look forward to sharing more. Have a great day, year, month, everything. Have a great life. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you soon with another video. Bye. Sorry, allergies. But thanks guys for watching. If you want to see more videos, do click on one of them over here, or if you want to see my channel, do click on the little round thingy at the bottom of this page thing. Alright guys, I will definitely see you soon with a new video about my life, my journey, or health condition. Enjoy, hop on board, subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.